So do I have any comments from the public? Any comments from the director? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Just,
Or there's some changes?
yeah, I just have a slight amendment, on, the minutes for item 10A. I believe it should be, Director Cunningham made a motion to publish, adoption of a proposed tax rate, 2023 tax rate of the number there, seconded by me, says Director, McClear. So did you get that? Okay. Because we're deciding.
Hoffmeister on the first page.
Hoffmeister? What is that one? I'm missing.
We haven't been here forever.
Hostile is that.
Hofstadter.
Well, that's all I had.
So, those corrections, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I make that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Review and act upon the district draft fiscal 23-24 operating budget and recommended water and sewer rate structure.
All right. So last month we talked about your proposed budget, and there was a document that looked like this.
Yep.
And then there was a draft budget memo.
Yep.
So this month we have the final versions of the memo and the budget itself. So there were no appreciable changes on the budget except for on the backside in the tan area, orange tan, whenever there's a in the sewer repair line item, there's about 120,000 that came over as part of the sanitary sewer project from last year, but it didn't get started until right now. So it didn't get expended last year. We pushed it forward into this year.
Because we end up with 3 months of operating cash revenue, which is not very much.
Correct.
Is there any way we can squeeze any of the other budget numbers we have? We said we conservative about expenses. We might get another month or two.
Well, I would love that. If we could, if there was something we could do. You know, I think the consultants did the best thing that we could on the tax side of things. As you know, we adjusted the water and sewer rates. That's roughly 6%. Obviously, a dry year, wet year, that's going to swing things pretty significantly. At this point, we can make little changes to make this look good, but as soon as it rains a bunch next year, then it doesn't matter anymore. It's just will hit it hard. So I will say that for the things that we can do budgetarily, we'll certainly, look out for anything that we can do to minimize expenses. But in many cases, we're responsive to fixing things, at least on the water, sewer, and drainage side.
And that is the sewer side is the big expense.
That's right. That's right. And there's more of it, to do.
Yeah, at the time.
And I know that you had asked for kind of some insight into that.
Yeah,
And that's
I really appreciate
absolutely.
you all like putting this together.
Yeah, the reason for this, so Neil had asked for just some insight into what are we doing on the sanitary sewer side and that project. And so Mike carved out some documents from that project just to kind of give you some insight. I wasn't planning to go through the page, but
No.
you can look through it.
One more question. Aaron asked me, did you do anything to reduce the, exemption for over 65 at this point? I said, I didn't know.
No,
Not at this, no.
Not this point.
they've already certified. We'll have to look at it next year. Yes.
Yeah,
Well, but also to my understanding though, even if we did that, we still would bump up against the 3.5 or 8%.
Absolutely. Yes,
If that's what causes the increase, it doesn't matter what causes the increase, right?
we still have that.
So-
I wish that were also something we could do, but your appreciation is actually allowing us to at least get that, and we're capturing as much as we can, but we just can't capture anymore
That 3.5%
without a vote.
limit is, that's it. It's,
Unless you call an election.
well, yeah.
Correct.
So it's a hard number on the, and the, doesn't apply to debt service.
That's for, developed districts.
Yes.
If you're undeveloped,
Developing and say.
developing, 8%.
Do I approve the fiscal 23-24 budget, operating budget?
Propose that we adopt the, 23-24 budget as presented.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Second, the public hearing regarding the levy of tax rate.
Yes, ma'am. So if y'all been through this real many times before, so this is the second step, essentially, the tax rate adoption process. The district's notice of intent to levy a tax not to exceed the 3.5% rollback rate was published in the Courier, owned by Cheney, copies on page 13. The rate proposed for 2023 is 0.07182. Adjourn our regular meeting and open the public hearing for any comments regarding the district's tax rate. Any no comments? We can conclude public hearing.
Public hearing closed.
All right, we can move to item 11, which is the act on the levy of the 2023 tax rate and adopt the order. So I've got. Down. Adopt the order of taxes.
Do I have a motion to adopt? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 12 is approval and execution of a minute district information form.
Yes, that is the document that records the property records. You'll recall last month, we updated the form of the notice of preference has been attached to the back of that information form to incorporate language that has recently been updated by the legislature during the regular session. Now we are amending that yet again, and this is just to update your tax rate. All of the verbiage remains the same. The only thing changes is the 22 to 23 and what your 23 tax rate is.
David?
Aye.
Okay. Center?
Addition to last month. Information on by the whole thing. Couldn't tell you, that's all, well, I've done it. From that already, as far as that is, conversation is being leadership and bringing down the.
Are you still having the meeting on the September 26th?
As far as
And the proposal to do this is still on the agenda.
yes, I have not heard anything in contrary.
Is the regular muscle SJRA for some position for?
Do not have anything to cover, but Dan does.
Okay.
So a lot of recent discussion on the AC water line stuff over the month. One thing I did want to spark your memory on is we also have in planning stages for a large wastewater program. Looking at replacement of wastewater facility number 1. So that will be coming back out. We have been working hard on it. Our consultant's been working hard. We have planned on October 24th, a all mud meeting to discuss, provide updates, present our master plan and updated cost estimates for that project. So encourage you all in that. They'll be, again, October 24th, 5 PM at Estuary Woodland Division office.
That's a time.
Correct. So that's all we have for any portion.
There's an act on additional research by the San Francisco River Authority for the AC water line.
All right, so there is no formal action with this item tonight. What we're gonna be asking for is a general consensus or understanding of how the board thinks. So on page 32 is a good summary of what Ed covered at the trustees meeting. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit the highlights of this. Basically, as Dan said, we've had a lot of conversations about the AC lines. There's been a lot of thoughts, opinions, options, so on and so forth. At this point, what Ed talked about at the trustees meeting was pulling back and basically pausing the construction and any further design of the AC water lines and moving forward with the AC water line condition assessment program. This is the program where we would do destructive and non-destructive testing and then determine basically better assumptions for the end of life of the assets. So what we're looking for and what we talked to the trustees about is talking to each of the MUDs and saying, what do y'all think about that? Y'all want us to pause the AC water lines and move forward with a condition assessment or continue forward with the path that we're looking? What we're looking for a general consensus for is so that Dan and his team can get a consultant on board if you want to do the condition assessment to start that process and get some better budgetary estimates. What are y'all's thoughts on an AC water line condition assessment?
Doing up proceeding, with, Six Pines.
Six Flags is also on the table. There's, for the previous MUD, I think MUD 47 sound like they're still on board. The others may have a little bit of concern. The reason being, the one thing that was left out of discussion on Wednesday night, and it's just because it's so far back, is the AC pipe on Six Pines was manufactured in Mexico, and it's the only AC pipe that we know of in the Woodlands water system that was made in Mexico. So it's an anomaly in the system that the concern could be that if you test that, it's not going to be apples to apples of the other American made.
The reason I'm asking, I thought the justification was a capacity increase in that section.
Capacity is the,
Right. So I'm not suggesting that line be tested necessarily. It's that part of the project that I think we need to have a longer discussion about in terms of improving capacity.
Yeah, just for reference for everybody, I know you can't really see this from here, but on this map, there's some orange lines and then there's one right down here. Town center is all those orange lines. But the Six Pines line that we're talking about is this tiny little section here, right here. And so that is different in that it is, as you just mentioned, it's a 12-inch line that's being proposed to be extended to a 16-inch line for operational efficiencies for the system. And so one of the other things that was mentioned by a couple districts was, well, maybe we just get started on that. If we're going to pause the whole thing, maybe we carve the smaller line out. It's a little cheaper. Maybe get some data on it. Probably start testing on the other lines while we're doing that line. That was a pretty long discussion as well, up for consideration.
Back when I drove, is that the one big rural connection expansion?
No, it goes from Timberlock to North Mobile on Six Pines. So I guess it kind of goes right through there. So, just a little bit. Yeah, it ends just south of Riverdale.
For the entire project.
Accepting 6 Pines.
Oh, okay, that's, yeah.
And the other key point is also getting a consultant on board to kind of help drive what the next steps are.
Yeah, the testing program.
Right.
You're referring, that's the $3.5 million estimate.
Correct.
If you will.
all right. And what we'll do is later on, we'll bring back a potential budget amendment if it's not the FY 25 budget, which will be the formal vote and tell you approximately how much we're looking to do.
So at the upcoming trustee meeting, presumably going to be a bit more discussion on this in terms of what crystallizes out of the MUD meetings. That,
There would be an overview,
okay,
but there's not a detailed discussion. That detailed discussion, basically at the end of the MUDs, if we have general consensus, move forward, pause it, whatever it may be. From there, Dan and his team's going to get started on the RFQ. So the
Yeah.
detailed discussion with the crystallization of what we're looking at would probably be, what would you say, January, February?
Yeah, it'll take us a few months to even get the
Right.
consultant on board, you know, I guess. Where I'm personally uncertain where the conversation is gonna go is this discussion about 6-5. Because we don't have funding for that right now, and B, you know, that would have to come to some general consensus across all of us too, and helping us.
Yeah, and keep in mind, if there's any iteration of this that requires bond funds for SDRA to go out and get bonds, or sell bonds, then that's gonna trigger a individual MUD vote, not a MUD directs trustee to vote situation, a MUD vote to agree to allow SDRA to go sell those bonds. So if it is an amount, whether it's the testing or Six Pines or any iteration of this that fits within some budget, operating budget, or their surpluses or whatever, wherever, if it's not bond funds, then it would be more of a vote to direct your trustee situation versus a MUD vote. Which is a big deal, because if it's a trustee vote, then it's a majority. But if you're looking for all 10 MUDs to fund their share and one says no, then it's going to be complicated. You can't do a project with 9/10 of the money necessarily. So anyway, that's just,
A couple more things. If nobody has seen asbestos seated pipe, AC pipe, in this bag is a small piece of AC pipe. You know, generally everybody knows what concrete and plastic and stuff is, but wanted to bring a sample in case you wanted to take a look at it. Don't know if No, you're good. We like it.
just don't open it.
But it's good. I figured maybe if y'all wanted to see what it is, what price there. Then if you want to cover everything in 2 seconds.
So the only other thing I would add is have uploaded dozens of documents to Google Drive that pertain to AC water lines. References we can go through and fit, but incorporates numerous journal articles, peer-reviewed journal articles by the Water Research Foundation. We received around 35 questions from various MUD directors. We provided responses to those, some other additional appendices, maps, spreadsheets, data. I want you to be aware that that is provided to all the MUDs and all the directors. So if you had additional questions on that, I'll let Eric know and you can pass it back to us.
Now,
How much does it cost? Internal time or?
cut time, you know, consultants.
So on the internal time, I don't have a very good estimate on that. Probably a number of days of multiple staff members coordinating with experts to formulate responses to the question. Yeah, what we pay them.
It would take 50 to 75, just depending on what else is second. It's, if it continues just on this kind of a rabbit trail, it's gonna reach the, same level as the other control. Just because you gotta think with the AC lines, it's actually internal time is costing a lot more because of the presentations. All the manuals that have to be reviewed every time there's a Google article, we have to research and see where it's coming from, and internal time is taking.
And so I think you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good.
Okay, item. Update on SJRA for the increased pension savings.
So no significant update on that project. Won't be till March, April, and next year when we have our third public meeting. Unless y'all have specific questions.
Managers report. Right.
Hey, you're all dressed up.
Okay, our general manager's report.
All right, thank you. Just a couple quick notes. I just wanted to let everybody know that, Jim's last day was last, Thursday. We will be, putting together a reception for him, for the public, probably in the next month or so. That'll be an after hours, come and go type of, thing. So we'll put that together. We're putting that together right now as we speak. In your packets, wanted to point out, there's a number of things in there related to drought. There's some, other municipalities are looking at their water and sewer rates. There's some bond referendums in the news, lots of things. I wanted to point out on the drought side, there's significant amount of municipalities in the region that have gone to heightened drought restrictions. And I'm happy to report that the Woodlands has not had to do that. And, you know, really it's a testament to the last decade of work to get the surface water put in. 50% of your water is coming from Lake Houston. And that has really helped in this, excuse me, thank you, Conroe, Lake Conroe. And that has really helped pave the way to have some safety, at least, in being able to still thrive. So, been a huge benefit.
Or here, then, I'm talking about Clinton. Oh,
We did.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was.
we did.
Before the surface water plant. Right.
Yeah, the lake was down. The lake was down 7 or 8 feet in 11, and keep in mind that was about an 18-month drought. So in this year, even though it's been awful for the past 3 months, we were about 8 inches ahead on rain after May, and then and then nothing for 3 months. So it went back down, you know, as a deficit. And the reality is that the lake has only really gotten to about 2 feet low. Back then it was 7 or 8 feet low. And so I think Chris reported a month or so ago that one of the triggers on SJA side is to go to the next trigger level for emergency for the Woodlands is if the lake gets down to 5 feet low, 5 feet lower than 201. 201 is the normal. And so they've only gotten to 2 this summer, as bad as it's been, which is really good. And then but what happens is that you know, as their facility is taxed a little bit more because of pushing water out to everybody, our wells have had to make up some of the difference on some of the peaking, which has pushed our run times out a little bit more than normal, but not to the point where it's triggered the next phase. Because we're still getting, you know, roughly 50%. I think this last month it was almost 60% out of groundwater. Heat on the wells. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's 38 wells. I don't know. Jaspers. That would be 1,000, 1,500 is usually in that Jasper range. We are continuing to receive quite a few thank yous and kudos from customers. I really like to see that. It's just, well, it's, you know, it takes effort for someone to go to that level to figure out who to email or figure out and say nice things, because it just doesn't happen that often anymore, you know. So I don't take those lightly. So I like to point those out. We have a job open right now. We're not aggressively looking at it at this point, but it is in the budget. There's a spot. So last thing I have was just to kick it over to John to talk a little bit about our public outreach.
Page 27 in your packet is communications report for the month. One thing I wanted to focus in on this month was sharing some of the information we're getting from the public, what we're hearing folks talking about. Share that with you, just like we always want to hear about it. Not surprisingly, a lot of it is emanating from the job. So consumption is up significantly. Month of July was about 17,000 per home on average month. throughout the year. So up significantly as expected, and then of course up goes the water bills as well. And along with that, up goes the chatter and the level of scrutiny folks are giving their water bills, which is good. We want folks investigating their water bills, thinking about how they're determined and understanding their water use better. So there's definitely opportunity for us to help them with that process and put a lot of energy into doing that. Tools, communication pieces to help them understand the bill. Also, we get a lot of misinformation, a lot of confusion. Get lumped together with other providers, their policies, their rate structures. Folks are often not connecting their consumption with their bill, with the dollar amount. The bill's really high, they don't know why. The rates go up. Is there an error? Oh, let's look. Significantly higher. So helping them understand how to use their water wisely. Getting a lot of questions about the fine irrigation schedule, even though that's been in place continuous since 2013. Many folks are unaware of it, or they're confused. In part because their neighbors are watering off schedule, or they see the strip center watering off schedule. Why do I have to? Lots of different questions and concerns. Given the fine irrigation schedule, a lot of effort into clarifying that as well. Finding them that it is not drought related. Again, that's been in place in 2013. Not exactly. All right, so to wrap that piece up, I just want to restate again, how important it is. Let us know. Shoot me an email, give me a phone call, share some social media. It's helpful. Page 28 website, still looking good. August was our second highest month ever for visitation. All the months this year performed really well. For August, we had 13,000 plus unique visitors. So that's different individuals. So Dr. Gaynor went on the website 10 times in August. He counts into one. So that's good.
They're unmonitoring, in case you're
Nice.
Watch. Yeah.
And then there's a breakdown there on what folks are looking at. Pleased that we're seeing more folks availing themselves of our educational resources, educational services, and so. We did rebrand our weekly e-blast, now known as Woodlands Water Weekly. That was a contest. We had over 100 entries, and by popular vote, Woodlands Water Weekly was chosen there. And that was a successful customer engagement tool, and I think we ended up with a funner name than blast. And you'll see some posts there, just sample posts where we are shifting our focus value. That's a new focus area for strategic plan for this quarter is value. And on page 29, you'll see that represented in some of our digital print marketing. Value. Folks appreciate the high quality, reliable system that we have and one that needs investment to keep that. And then page 30. Water Smart, just want to give you a quick high level on how we're doing there. We're doing well as far as we're continuing to trend upward. More and more folks are signing on, but we have a lot of room to go. So 34% of our accounts have registered on Water Smart. 10% of all of our accounts are active users. So that's a really important tool for folks to use water wisely, get leak alerts, save money. We want to keep working on that and keep working on the commercial side as well, where we have 19% of the accounts are registered.
So, John, when you say active, that means they're getting on the website.
Yeah.
Not their use.
Good question. I find that as they engaged with it within the last 90 days.
Okay.
Our infrastructure communications consultant, so that process moves forward. Holloway was secured for that. Eric will be meeting with SGRA and Holloway for the first time next week. And then planning will move forward from there. The result stage is going to be needs assessment. We'll keep you updated as we move along an important process for the consultant. And then finally, the outreach event calendar is there for you. Please join us at all these events. We've got a big one coming up on the 30th. That's Landscaping Solutions at Rob Fleming. That's a large garden lawn care event. Women's Water will be there. And expect over 1,000 folks at that one. And we'll be adding to this list too. As we go. So please come out and join us. Yeah. Thank you.
Please report.
Yeah, hopefully you're gonna test read through the trustee meeting summary. Just highlight a couple of things. SJRA is looking to update the format of their monthly report and invite any suggestions, send to Eric. So that's a great thing. And I just want to, as an aside, mention about what Ed said during the trustee meeting. For the executive search effort for replacement for the new position, general manager at JRA. They had over 165 applications, 2 of which qualified. Am I correct? 2 over that then 1, 2 plus. So they are adopting another approach to go and visit with some individuals that the search firm knows about, right? And expand that to qualified candidates.
What was the main factor? Education experience?
Ed did not elaborate.
It hasn't been shared with us.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I think the numbers speak for themselves. It's, well, the general manager of River Authority is a pretty major job. And they're gonna be challenging shoes to fill. So, what else is? I don't think, the only other thing is that Ron Wilson on the finance committee mentioned one of the letters sent out to formality. So that's it. Unless there are questions.
I missed the agenda item. I actually missed agenda item number 4. Are there any requests for adjustments for release?
I have nothing this one.
I don't have anything either.
I just,
I apologize. Hey, we do have a meeting discuss the concession, so. Any items for next month meeting? Got for review, we're adjourned.